Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome um, to my work called Collaborative and Multicultural Learning through COIL approach. Okay, my name is Carlos Quijano. I'm a professor from Popayan. I work at a Institución Universitaria Colegio Mayor del Cauca in this city in Popayan. I have been working here like for more than 5 years, and well, I have applied many things about this approach that I brought to you today. And well, I hope you learned a lot about this approach because I consider it can give us a lot of different advantages in the process of teaching and learning English. Okay, so welcome to this job and this work. Sorry, and well, let's start with it. Okay, so first, I want to interact with you a little bit. So I'm going to ask you, all of you, to enter to this website that is called menti.com. It's just like that, menti.com, and type the code that you can see here, that is 89663600. Right? So the idea is that you enter there and that you type that code, because I want to know something to start this presentation first. Okay, I want to know, what do you do in your classrooms about collaborative work and also about multicultural awareness. Okay, so the idea is that please let me know what you do here. So the idea is to enter to menti.com and type this code. All right. Well, exactly. The first thing that we are going to have there is a question that says, how do you encourage collaborative learning in your classroom? Just in a short sentence, please let me know, what do you do in order to encourage collaborative learning in your classrooms? So, self-accountability, student-centered activities that foster interaction. Okay, that's amazing. Yeah, that's pretty much what we do, let's say, every day in our classrooms, right? What about the others? If you need, again, the code, okay, work in pairs, chosen by me with clear goals. Okay. Well, I repeat the code. This is the code. Enter to this website and type this code. Well, the idea is to know more opinions. Assignation of roles. Okay, very nice. Remember, well, we are working on this question. How do you encourage collaborative learning in your classroom? In a short sentence, just in a short sentence. Collaborative projects. Well, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Okay, well, we have, okay, another one. I have my students listen to each other and have them repeat what they say, what they said. Okay, yeah, sure. Do teamwork. Amazing. That's very useful too. Okay, well, now, well, in terms of collaborative learning, I know that you are very proactive in this sense. So, well, I'm going to ask you about multicultural awareness. Okay, let me ask you another question to you guys. Always supporting and listen to them. Okay, well, let's move on to another question. The next question that I want you to answer me in the same website, menti.com, with the same code, 9663600, is the same website and the same code. Well, now I want to know about, how do you heighten multicultural awareness in your classroom? What do you do to increase multicultural awareness? I mean, could be with other regions, could be with other countries as well, could be with other populations, let's say from your local community, right? So we can do many different things with multicultural awareness. So I would like to know, what do you do, or how do you heighten multicultural awareness in your classroom? So let's see some of your answers.
Carlos, excuse me. I don't know if it's only my problem, but I think that you need to pass the question in the
Imensi?
app. Yes,
Mm,
because it doesn't allow me.
Okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
me too.
Yes.
Me too. But I don't know if it's better to show
Try now, please.
segmented.
Yes, please, try now.
Uh-huh, okay.
It's okay now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I'm so sorry. So how do you heighten multicultural awareness in your classrooms? Because remember, nowadays, multiculturalism is very, very important because we are, let's say, teaching students that are going to belong to a globalized world, and they need multicultural awareness, they need multicultural competence. So what do you do, or how do you do? You invite foreign people to class. Okay, yeah, that is a very, very useful thing to do. Respect for differences and diversity. Nice. Showing different cultures. Okay. Okay, working with materials like music, watching videos, pen pals. Yeah, pen pals. That's pretty much what we are talking here about. But okay, it goes beyond to be just a pen pal. But okay, let's see. Let's see. We have just another one. Comparing life of different people. Okay, it's amazing. Inclusion and equality. Okay. And let's see, just 1 second more. And all right. Okay. Well, nice, very nice things that you do, teachers, in your classroom in order to arise multicultural awareness. So, well, now I want to present you what I have been doing like for 2 years in my classroom, and is this. Okay. Today, I want you to know about COIL, Collaborative Online International Learning. It sounds like something very technical, very, let's say, out of our reach to do, but let me show you that it's actually very, very easy to create an experience using COIL in your classroom, whatever classroom you have. If you are working with kids, if you are working with teenagers or with adults, well, these experiences with COIL are going to, arise motivation in your classroom, and well, it has many, many advantages. So first of all, well, that is pretty much what COIL is, Collaborative Online International Learning. And well, it's a learning teaching approach which allows students and teachers from different contexts to develop intercultural consciousness while working on collaborative tasks in a target language. This is, well, a definition by the University of New York that, well, they were like the creators of this approach called COIL. Okay. Well, this is just the technical definition of what COIL is. But let me explain you this like in a few words. This is COIL in a nutshell. What if we consider our class, our students, and we look for another class, another group of students in a different part of the world? You see, can be whatever class. Okay, could be whatever class, could be in your own region, in your own country, or could be in a different continent. Well, you choose. All right. Well, the idea is to choose another group to work, another teacher and another group of students, and work online. That is pretty much what is COIL. Okay, that is exactly what is COIL. We are going to look for another teacher, another class. We are going to talk to them, and let's see, okay, let's collaborate and do this. Okay, of course, the idea is to use a target language that I think or I guess that most of your cases is English, right? And it's the lingua franca now. So I think that many different schools, many different classes all around the world, they are learning English, or they use English as well as mother tongue. So, well, this is what we are going to do using COIL. What are the benefits for the teacher using COIL? We are going to do this. We are going to work collaboratively on shared curricula development. We are going to look for the teacher or another teacher on a different part of the world or another region, and we are going to start talking about, okay, let's try to do this. This is our experience. This is my idea. What is your idea? So we are going to work collaboratively on that, on developing the contents, the objectives that we are going to work during, let's say, a semester or during a year. Okay, that depends on you. What are we going to do too? We are going to exchange didactic and pedagogical strategies because, of course, we consider that many different teachers, they have many different useful things that we can learn from that. So we are going to exchange. I mean, we are going to show what do we use in our classroom. We are going to learn from the other teacher what they do, what they use from their classrooms. Okay, so we are going to make an exchange of didactic and pedagogical strategies. We are also going to propose intercultural knowledge activities. So, for example, if you work with population from other countries, you are going to get to know these students, this teacher, and of course your students as well. But the idea is that you are going to propose intercultural knowledge activities with the other teacher. You are going to negotiate that, and the idea is that you propose this intercultural exchange too. Okay. And finally, of course, you are going to meet and interact with colleagues from all around the world, all over the world. And of course, you can establish the new relationships with other universities. You can establish maybe other work relationships to work with this teacher with another classroom in the future. Okay, well, I mean, the advantages for the teacher who uses COIL are many, okay, and diverse. What are the advantages for the student in a COIL experience? Well, the student in a COIL experience can develop global thinking and intercultural awareness through interaction with peers. Let's say, if your students of English interact with peers from Mexico, from Canada, from Europe, of course, they are going to develop this intercultural awareness. They are going to share their own culture, and at the same time, they are going to receive cultural elements from the other culture. So that is exactly what they are going to do. They are going to develop global thinking. They are going to start thinking not only as in local terms, but they are going to start thinking in global terms now because they are going to be part of an international experience. You see? Well, what is another advantage for the COIL student? Well, this enhances interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence to collaborate. The scope of collaborative work, of course. So, well, the idea is to design and plan many different collaborative activities between the two populations of students, let's say my group of students and the other country's student. And the idea is to develop collaborative work among them, you know? So, well, this is going to, of course, develop different intelligence, especially these personal relationships, not only to be exposed to the same people all the time, like the classmates, but they are going to talk to other people in a different country, in a different region. So, of course, this is going to be very good for developing a personal intelligence. Also, of course, talking about language, of course, this experience or an experience with COIL is going to improve language production, especially oral and listening comprehension skills. Okay, because well, the idea is to develop different activities in which they use the target language, maybe in this case is English, and they construct knowledge from that. And by constructing knowledge from different activities of collaborative work, well, they are going to use their language skills, and they are, of course, they are going to improve them because the idea is to try to understand the others try to speak, let's say, longer and speak with more fluency. So all of these efforts that the student does are in pro of improving language language skills. Of course, it's going to be very good for improving language skills. And of course, because we are using online learning, they are going to reinforce the ICT usage and digital abilities. I mean, you can use many different things, not only WhatsApp or not only Google Meet or not only Zoom, but you can use many other platforms that allow students to create or to develop these digital abilities. Okay, so, well, I already told you about the advantages for the teacher, advantages for the student, about using COIL, but maybe you are wondering how can we use COIL? How can we do something with COIL in our classroom? So, well, this is like the step by step that I prepare for you, and it's just a 4-step guide that is going to lead you to using COIL in your classrooms. So just this. The step number 1, of course, is to find a teacher and a group. How do you do that? Well, maybe some of you, some of the teachers, English teachers, chiefly, we have like connections with other teachers working in other different parts of the world. But what about those that they don't have these kind of connections? Okay, that they just work locally, or they just work on the region they live. So what are we going to do here? Well, I want to show you different websites, 3 websites especially, about this. So the first one that I want to present you today is called epels.com. epels.com is a platform in which you can contact or you can connect to other teachers all around the world with probably similar needs that your students have. For example, in this website, you are going to find teachers that said, for example, I have a group of students from 14 to 16, and they are learning English, they are advanced learners, or they are beginner learners. So what you are going to do here is to look for, let me show you, you are going to look for, uh, just give me 1 sec. You are going to, here. You are going to look for connections. As you can see now, in this moment, this is my profile in ePels, and you can find different teachers. All of these people here are teachers, okay? And all these teachers, they, let's say they have like a profile in which they show what language are they learning, what are they interested in, like, for example, a language exchange, or they want to, they are more focused on, for example, multicultural exchange. Well, the idea is that you have to explore this website, this platform, and find the connection that meets your needs as well, right? So, for example, teachers work and from the United part of that is going to do here. I mean, you are going to create connections with different teachers all around the world. Actually, there are also some Colombian teachers from different regions. For example, here I remember a teacher from Medellin that asked me to create a collaboration, and well, we are working on that now. But it's not necessarily only like international. It's not only abroad classes. You can also work this like in your own country, finding other teachers that probably they are using this platform. Okay, so my recommendation is ePels. That is very easy to use, is very intuitive, and well, you can easily contact other teachers from other parts, and you can see easily here what are their subjects and what are the population they have, students, I mean, and well, and the country, of course, and the language that they are using, or what is their target language. Okay, so well, this is very useful in order to contact other teachers and get this kind of connection in order to create collaborative work between the 2 groups. Okay, so you just have to write a message to them, say, okay, I'm interested in working with your class because this or that, you know, and well, you can easily get the connection there. So for example, in my message, I have, well, different answers from different teachers, and they said, okay, I will be glad to work with your class. And well, that is the way you are going to do it, right? Well, that is not the only one, but that is the one that I used, of course. And well, there is another option here about doing that. That is the teacher's corner, the teacher's corner.net. In the teacher's corner.net, you are going to find also different connections with other teachers all around the world to create collaborative work. Well, that is another option. That is pretty much as ePels, and well, you have to explore it too. And the last option is globalschoolnet.org. In globalschoolnet.org is more about collaborative projects. If you are more about projects, about like working during a whole semester on the same, let's say, project, and well, between two classes, well, this is a very good one to work with, globalschoolnet.org. Actually, they also have like uh, they have also some projects already made in which you can join. So, for example, there is a project about multiculturalism, and maybe you can explore it and join your class to work with the groups that are already working on it. So, well, it's pretty much about all the things that are already made, but you can join. You can join the different projects that they present here. But it's pretty much about projects. Okay, project-based learning is more about that. Okay, well, that is the first step. Okay, what is the second step? The second step is to decide. Well, once you contact the teacher, once you agree to create a COIL experience with the other teacher, well, you have to design and negotiate curriculum and learning objectives. Of course, I mean, if we are going to work together with the other teacher, with the other group, we need to, let's say, just design one curriculum or one just series of learning objectives, okay? Because they are going to follow the same thing. Our students are going to follow the same thing. They are going to do basically the same thing at the same time. So we are going to negotiate that curriculum and that learning objectives with the other teacher, okay? Once you already have this, you have to consider some aspects. Well, you have to consider what is your own curriculum and objectives. I mean, what do you want your students learned? Of course, also, if you are working in a high school or working in an institution, well, you have to consider what parts of your own curriculum and objectives you can share with the other teacher and you can work in common. Of course, that is something that you have to negotiate. Of course, you have at the time of choosing what activities you are going to do, you have to choose the learner's age, level, needs, and interest, of course. You cannot work the same activities, for example, if your class is with children and the other class is teenagers. So, well, you have to look for like this similar interest, needs, and level of the learners, because that is going to facilitate an experience using COIL. Similar learning goals, of course. For example, if they are beginners, if they are intermediate learners of English, well, the idea is that you try to look for a group of beginners or intermediate learners that maybe together they can reach different goals. No, it's not that the other students that already learned English, they are going to teach our students. Well, that is not the idea, because you know, these relationships of power, they are not good. They are not good for students, like, for example, teenagers, in which they are going to feel like not comfortable with. Because if you work, for example, with an advanced student from the United States, a native speaker, and my student is just an intermediate speaker, well, they are not going to be like comfortable. I mean, maybe my student is going to feel a little bit anxious, okay, and frustrated as well. So that is something that you have to consider too. And well, also evaluation. Evaluation is very important to consider at the time you are working with the other teacher. How are you going to evaluate this experience with COIL? Are you going to use the same evaluation? Are you going to evaluate only your class? or you are going to make like a similar evaluation or simultaneous evaluation. Well, that is something that you have to negotiate with the other teachers as well. Okay. Well, that is the second step. Well, the third step is to now design the collaborative learning online activities. And for this, you can use many different platforms that we have used during these pandemic times for virtual classes or online classes. So, well, you can use different LMS or different platforms, like, for example, Edmodo, or you can use Facebook as well, Google Classroom, Moodle, Second Life. Well, I'm going to show you my experience also with using Second Life to create a COIL experience. So, well, whatever platform that you have used for online work, you can use it for COIL. You know, it's not something new for us, and it's actually not something new because of the pandemic, because we were forced to have these online classes. So, well, we have worked with this, and we can use them as well to work internationally with other group of students. But, well, you have to consider, of course, the time zones of the group. For example, I'm going to talk to you about that later, about my experience with my class here in Popayan and a class from Russia, and there were like 9 hours of difference. So, well, that was that was my first experience, and of course, I paid the price because it was my first time, and I didn't know about this. I didn't consider this about time zones, and the work was a little bit difficult. But okay, finally, it was good. Consider also to share the learning objectives with your students. What do they need to do? What are they going to learn with these activities? Not just, let's say, enter to this platform and start talking to the other student. Well, that's not the idea. Everything must be prepared and must have an objective, right? You have to clarify students, assignments, roles, schedules. Everything must be very, very clear, because, as you know, some students, they say, okay, but no, I'm not sure what I have to do. It's not clear what I'm going to do, if I'm going to work with my classmates or I am going to work with the other students. Well, you have to clarify every single detail in every activity, okay? And of course, consider platforms and resources that you know that you can explore as well. Like, for example, well, this one that you have here, maybe we have used some of them, but there are many, many others. And of course, you can use them as well for this online collaborative learning with teachers from other countries or from other regions, you see? So, well, that is something that you have to consider um, in terms of designing these activities for a COIL experience, okay? And, well, the final step, it's about outcomes and evaluation. I mean, the idea is to consider if you want to make an evaluation single or combined. I mean, if you are like just focus on your own students, how they perform in a specific ability, well, you can just use single assessment, like only in your class, in your students, and evaluate them at the beginning and after the experience to see if there was a change through this experience. Of course, that is the second point. I mean, if, for example, in many cases, in the 3 of my experiences with COIL, I evaluated some of the skills of my students. There were some of them, they were beginners, some of them were intermediate, some of them were advanced, but the idea was to evaluate a specific skill that I wanted to develop, for example, speaking. And I evaluated after the experience with COIL, all the work with the other students, and what changed in this student after this after this experience. If they talked more, if they are now more fluent, if they know more vocabulary now, if they are more confident now as well to talk in public, because that is one of the problems that English teachers we have, that most of our students, they are not confident at the time of speaking because they feel like frustrated or bad, you know? So, well, all of those things that you have to evaluate before and after the experience, okay? Also, of course, the competence like multicultural competence, if they knew before about the other culture. For example, if you are working with a group of Chinese students, it's just an example. At the beginning, what do they know about what do they know about China, about Chinese culture? What do they know about Chinese education? What do they know about Chinese teenagers' life? What do they know about it? And well, the idea is to evaluate that before and after the experience, because the experience is to exchange cultural elements as well. So they are going to learn a lot with an experience like this. And of course, the variation in language skills that I talked to, I spoke about a few seconds ago is about if they improve on a specific language skill, if they are more confident speaking now, if they are more fluent, if they improve their pronunciation. Well, you have to consider those things at the time of evaluate this experience. Okay. Well, now finally, I want to talk to you about my experience with COIL. Um, Actually, I have been working with this for 2 years now. Okay. And I have made 3 COIL experiences with 3 different groups that I have taught. Okay. And well, I'm going to talk about the first one. My first experience with COIL was with my group of students. They were teenagers, advanced learners from Popayan, of course. And I contacted a professor from the university from Russia. And well, we started to create different activities. We negotiate the curriculum, we negotiate the objectives, the learning objectives, and we decided to create this kind of interaction among our students. So, well, I learned, because this was my first experience using COIL, I learned a lot. For example, the thing I told you about the time zones, they were from Russia and my students are in Colombia. So it was difficult sometimes to look for a nice time for them to connect that, for example, in Google Meet, for example, that was one of the things that we use. But well, at the end, it resulted very well. The teenagers advanced learners, they knew a lot about grammar, they knew a lot about vocabulary, they knew a lot about um, uh, different structures in English. But the problem with them was that not many of them spoke in the English class. They never practiced English because they felt like anxious or frustrated at the time of speaking in English. Well, after this activity, after this experience using COIL, those students, most of these students that I told you about, that they were like not so confident at the time of speaking, well, most of them gained confidence. And after that experience, they risk more speaking in the classroom. They say, okay, if we spoke to these international students, why cannot speaking here? I mean, they realize that if they had like this commitment speaking in the group with other students, well, now it was very easy to speak with their own classmates, and they started to talk more and more all the time. And with this new attitude that they, well, they really improved their speaking skills, and of course their listening abilities as well, because I mean, most of the activities that we prepared with the other teacher, we prepared about this experience with COIL were about listening and speaking exercises, like for example, interacting, speaking about different things. For example, I remember one day that they were speaking about food, Russian food versus Colombian food. Another day they were speaking about teenagers' life. What is the life of a teenager in Russia compared to a life of a teenager in Colombia? And they started to talk about that, and they realized that they were not so different. Of course, there are some cultural difference, but they were still teenagers, and they have the same thing, you know, the same interests, the same things in common. Like for example, in music, for example, they mention a lot of Latin American artists that they listen to. And well, I mean, in Russia, they listen more about this techno music, but my students were not so, I mean, they didn't know about this music, but some of my students shared different artists that they listen there in Russia, and my students started to listen to them as well, and it was like a musical interchange as well. So well, there you can have many different possibilities when you um, work with two different groups from two different cultures. I mean, there are only positive things, you know. I mean, they are going to obtain many different things. It's not only language, but of course they are going to open their mind to um, different perspectives as well. So well, that was my first COIL experience. My second experience was uh, between my group of students that they were intermediate English learners and a group of English students in Ukraine. Okay. And for this experience, we pretty much use this platform of Second Life. Okay. So, well, actually, it was the other teacher, the teacher from Ukraine, who proposed to work with this platform because they were very into this, very fond on this platform. I mean, they used a lot of that platform in Ukraine to teach languages, especially English. So he proposed me, and I accepted. And I didn't know much about it, but working with the teacher, I learned how to use it. I mean, the advantages of using Second Life. And well, I also started using the Second Life with my learners. And at some point, we prepared activities to make them meet this platform, you know, and they started talking about, for example, this is the first meeting that they have, and they is about personal presentation, like well, they said who they were, where they were from, well, things like that, like the basic things. And then we, with the other teacher, we state some questions pretty much about culture, like, for example, tell me one thing that you know about Colombia, to an Ukrainian student, or tell me one thing that you know about Ukraine, to a Colombian student. So it was like an exchange, and we made like a game that day about what do you know about the other country or the other culture. And it was very fun. I mean, students, they learned a lot that day about the other culture. I mean, when do you learn about Ukraine uh, if it is not by their own inhabitants, right? So it was pretty much that. It was about learning the culture from their own from their members, you see. So it was very good. Well, it was not the only one. This is just one session, but of course we have to work different sessions. We have other different activities about collaborative work, like, for example, redacting a document about differences between Colombia and Ukraine, social differences, well, many things that they have to research about the other country. But they worked in groups, let's say, two students from Colombia working together with two students from Ukraine, and that was a group. They have to research about the other country, the other culture, and then they have to talk about if what they researched was true or not, and they correct that and say, yeah, you found that on internet, but actually Colombia is not like this. I mean, there are many things. For example, I remember that one group of one of the students of Ukraine told us about if he thought Colombia was just a jungle. I mean, he thought that we live surrounded by jungle, and if we have like wild animals around here, you know. So, but yeah, that was like an stereotype that they have to re-examine after this experience. So, well, I mean, these students can get many things from experiences like this. Okay. And well, this is my last experience using COIL. This is something actually that I'm working right now with my university English students of level 3, and one group of university English students from Columbus, Ohio, in the United States. But these are English students. They are not native speakers. They are just living in the United States. And well, that is actually what we are doing now. I mean, we are using this target language, that's English, in order to create collaborative work. And well, actually, there is one student from Colombia in this group, but of course he's studying there, and he's been like the connection between these two groups, and it has been very helpful. But well, the idea, of course, is that all these groups use the target language in common to communicate, and of course to create activities, and that's the idea to let's say improve our language as well. Okay, for example, none of the students from Russia spoke Spanish, and none of my students spoke Russian. So well, the idea was the only way to communicate here was English. I mean, you have to use English, because otherwise, I mean, the other student are not going to understand what you are saying, right? So the only possible way to communicate here was the target language, that it was English, and that's the idea. Of course, they are forced to use it, and of course, if they are forced to use it, they are going to do their best in order to try to get the meaning of what the other says, or to speak properly, you know. Well, all of those things you can get from these experiences. And well, this is something that I'm currently working in, and well, that is my third COIL experience. But let me tell you that in all these experiences, my group of students, well, I guess the other group as well, because I also discussed the results of these experiences with the other teachers as well. This increased motivation and commitment to the group, because all of them, they don't want to uh, stay behind the others, right? I mean, if you are talking to another student from another country, well, you are going to do your best in order to communicate, in order to use the proper language to express your ideas, right? I mean, you are going to do your best, and that is expressed in the commitment that this experience create in the group. And also, students are going to get more confident, especially in speaking at this. I mean, you can see the difference before and after the experience. You are going to notice the change right away, because I mean, they are going to be more motivated to speak in the group, working with other students, with other people, and at the same time, they want to do like their best. They want to yeah, speak properly, and of course, that is something that is going to improve their speaking ability. And of course, talking about global thinking, they are going to re-examine stereotypes, beliefs, and values. For example, about Russian, about Colombia. I mean, we could see that our image as Colombians is very stereotype all around the world. I mean, by listening to the first opinions of the students talking about Colombia, you can see that they just know what media shows to them, right? So that is something that we can, let's say, re-examine as well, the stereotypes, the beliefs, and the values that maybe we can have about a culture. And finally, well, they can establish relationship with peers, which continue. For example, from my experience with with the students from Colombia and Russia, I know, I still know that they are communicating. They have become friends, some of them, and they communicate. From time to time, they speak, and they create friendships as well. So that is something that you can also establish with these groups. They can establish relationships that not only for the class, but maybe they can become friendships. And maybe if they travel to another country, maybe they can meet these people. And yeah, why not? I mean, it's something that is possible, right? And well, pretty much this is my experience with the COIL approach. So I don't know what you think about it. If you have any question or anything you want to ask me, I'm all ears.
Thank you very much, Carlos. I think it was a really nice experience, and I really like your presentations and your experiences, because most of all they are also developing their intercultural communicative competence. And my
Okay.
question is, Carlos, how we as teachers how can we as English teachers get to have more these relationships or this management, I don't know how you call it, how can we make it possible to talk to other universities or others or institutes from other countries Is it difficult, or it depends on the university where you work? Those relationships, or I don't know how to call it, that is like administrative stuff. Is it difficult to have a bridge with that contact to start to getting an agreement with another teacher and start a COIL experience like this?
Well, pretty much that depends on the teacher, because with all the teachers that I have worked with, they have not mentioned any like institution obstacle or something like that. No, well, what they do actually is just to um, make the students participate in this international experience as part of the curriculum. So it's not like we need to ask for permission to the other institutions or something like that. That is pretty much about the autonomy that these teachers, well, me and the other teachers had in terms of including this as part of the English class, you know? So actually I didn't ask permission for doing this, but because this is like another collaborative work that I can do in my classroom. I mean, this is just part of my curriculum. I mean, the idea was to, let's say, reach the objectives or meet the objectives. And I think that we could meet them because they learned, well, the structures, they apply the structures. I mean, it's just part of our English class. It's not like a institutional like policy or something. Well, not in this moment. I would like to do that, but well, but for now it's just like this part of the English class that I included like collaborative work, but in international way. It's just that. But of course, I mean, if you talk to these teachers, for example, I talked to this teacher from
I was
Russia.
going to ask you that, but how did you get to contact the teacher? I mean,
Well, I show you some websites, like these websites, in which you can get you can contact these teachers. I mean, for example, I pretty much use ePulse, and ePulse is about those teachers, not only high school teachers but also university teachers, that they are interested in working like in this international way too. So let me show you, for example, one of my connection is the teacher from Russia and from Ukraine. And what the first thing that I did was create my profile in ePels, for example. And well, you start looking for connections. I mean, you have to read what they want to do with their own students, and that is the only way that you can, like, say, for example, let's see this person. Okay, let's see the profile of this person. Sorry. Well, you see this teacher, let's say, well,
you're not sharing.
she's having
yeah.
students from 12 to 16.
Yeah, you're not sharing
Sorry, you're not sharing.
I'm not sharing.
No, you need to share the Google Chrome.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God. There you go. Can you see it now?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, now can you see it? Okay, I'm so sorry. I thought that you were like watching my screen here on the browser, but you haven't. Okay, well, this is ePels. Okay, ePels, and that I you start looking for connections from different. Well, all of them are teachers, so you have to see the ages they have, the language, the target language.
Okay, so all of them are teachers. Yeah, the thing is that I couldn't get on time because I had some meetings to attend to.
Okay,
but
so yes.
I think I missed that. So all of them are teachers, right?
All of them are, yes.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
See, yeah, so well, the only thing that you have to do is just to look for a teacher, propose something to the teacher. Let's say, okay, let's work together. I have a group of 20 students between 19 and 21, and the idea is that we do something together. Let's see what the other teacher says. But yeah, pretty much all of these teachers, they want to do something collaborative because otherwise they were not here in ePulse.
Of course. Okay, of course.
They are very willing to work with you from whatever part of the world. So
you only work through ePulse, or do you know any other website like this?
Yes, well, I'm going to show you now the others. Like, well, these ones. The other is the teachers cornet.net, and the other is globalschoolnet.org. But well, I have not explored or I have not used much these other platforms, but the one that I got the three connections from was EPELS. Okay, I could contact the three different teachers from my three different experience with COIL, specifically in epels.com. But I found that this is another one. I explored it at the beginning because, of course, I was like examining different options for this. But I realized that, well, this was the best option for me, epels.com.
Okay. Well, that was really great. Thank you very much, Carlos. Sorry, I couldn't be here on time earlier,
Okay,
but well.
I got it. Yeah, sorry. Well, I don't know if the other participants, do you have any question about this COIL experience that I presented to you?
Thank you,
Hello.
Carlos. We have here, according to your experience, which is the platform. Okay, you said Pulse.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, according to my experience, but of course that depends on your needs, what you want to do. For example, the third one that is let me show you, globalschoolnet.org is more about collaborative projects, right? So in this case, if you, for example, you work a lot of project-based learning, well, this is a very good option for you. I mean, you can join a project in here and work collaboratively from there. I mean, well, this is pretty much about projects, you see. In here, ePulse is just to contact the other teacher and you say, okay, I want to do this, what do you want to do? Okay, let's do something. We have these similar objectives, so let's do it. And well, this is more like open to discuss. I mean, you have many different options according to just the needs of the other teacher and your own needs. Yeah, but well, in here it's more about joining a collaborative group.
okay, and I have another question, and it says, I wanted to know what strategies did you use to evaluate your students?
Can you repeat the question, please?
What strategies did you use to evaluate your students?
Okay, well, to evaluate my students, at the beginning, I applied like first a survey about multicultural knowledge, and also about language. I applied like a test, like a listening and speaking battery, the test that I created. I applied it first. I mean, before the experience. And after the experience, that they were the experience about 3 months, yeah, no more than that, 3 months, because we work in like in semesters. After 3 months of working with the other group, I applied the same battery test to my students about multicultural knowledge and about language, and I could see the differences. I mean, not so, let's say, not so big difference in terms of language, but you can see that there were many let's say outcomes there. I mean, you students really, let's say, well, especially in speaking. I mean, that is what I can highlight here. Speaking was one of the skills that they improved the most, and this by like a battery test at the before and after the experience, and I could see that. And actually, it's not only that, it's this formal evaluation. You can also see the change in the classroom. I mean, when before this experience, most of my students, they were like not willing to participate. They were shy. They were maybe anxious sometimes because they were not comfortable speaking. And after this experience, they were more open to speak. I mean, you can notice the difference, believe me. I mean, this is something that I realized in these three experiences, and it's something that you not necessarily evaluate like formally, but you can notice because you know your students, and you can say, okay, I remember this student was very shy, but after this experience, he started or she started to speak like more openly. So it's something that you can evaluate. Well, I did I did both. I mean, formal and informal evaluation of this. I don't know if that answers your question.
I guess. Thank you so much, Carlos. I believe that it's 4:10. So I believe that we have to go to the other room.
Okay, well, thanks to you, everyone. And well, I hope you apply this COIL approach. It would be great. If you
Thank
want to
you.
contact me, I want to give you my email in case you want to contact me. I mean, it's just sorry, it was not here, but I want to show you my email in case you want to ask me something about COIL. I will be very eager to answer your questions about it. So, well, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Carlos. Nice
you.
presentation.